Anyways, ignore what the producer just said in the background. We weren't talking about anything inappropriate at all. So,
Never, not us.
anyways. All right. Anyways. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Into the Lion's Den. As you can tell, we're not exactly in the den. I guess we exited the den. We're inside of Pride Warehouse. We thought we'd do something a little bit special for this video, or just change it up a little bit. But we wanted to introduce ourselves nonetheless. I'm your one of your co-hosts, Christian Griffith, owner of Pride Roof Construction. Here is our favorite co-host, Mr. J.D. Stevens.
I thought you were going to go with Al Borland. I thought for sure you'd do Al Borland.
I'm Tim the Two Man Taylor. This is Al Borland. I'm not fast enough today to think of something that good. But anyways, this video is brought to you proudly by Pride Roofing and Construction and Level Creative Studios.
I could do it.
Oh.
Baby kitty cats, dude.
Actually, Tim.
All right. So what are we going to talk about today, JD? I'll let you kind of introduce the topic.
So we're going to talk about the fact of we're starting to move towards the holiday season. Halloween, at the time of recording this, is just right around the corner. And so you're going to start hearing people talking about next year. How do we gear up for next year and make the most out of 2026? And we just kind of wanted to drive the point home, something we're driving home with our team in-house of there's still 70 days in this year. As of recording, there's 70 days left in this year. And so we kind of want to talk about the importance of finish strong. I know that as we get closer to Thanksgiving and everyone's thinking about food and all the fun Christmas time activities, I'm a huge lights guy, so I like going and doing all the Christmas lights. It's easy to just close the book on this year. But 70 days is still a lot of time. There's still, in Colorado, we could still have good weather. I mean, we can have good weather all the way till January some years.
Yeah, what's even crazy this year, I mean, we're in roofing. There was a hailstorm last week in Colorado.
Yeah.
Middle of October. Wild, right?
Yeah, that's late hell that's really late hell for us. Mm-hmm. So to still be getting weather, that means we still have strong temperatures, which still means as homeowners, you can get your projects done. Outside, the weather hasn't closed us out yet. And so we want to talk about finishing out the year strong. And so, I just, one of my favorite influencers I saw was talking about this, Gary Vee. He always talks about don't make changes in the future. Like, do it now because there's still time. And so I kind of wanted to, go into that of like, what's something that you're potentially putting off to the first of next year of like, I'm going to change the way I eat. I'm going to change the way I work. I'm going to, start doing these things, and how we keep pushing them to the first of the year. And really it's better to make small changes over time rather than trying to make one big change all at once. Mm-hmm. I think in a previous podcast episode, you talked about how a large portion of New Year's resolutions are abandoned by February because we try to change too much at once. And so it ends up being a big landslide of like, well, I failed at that, so there's no point in trying to do the rest of them because you give yourself the out. Mm-hmm. And so where you have this 70 days to really finish out strong, let's finish out strong. And that's, in business, this is really important. We're going to close our year out strong. We always tell our guys, we're an all year round business. We can contract all year. We just can't necessarily build all year. So it's about remembering that there are things to do all year round, and wintertime, if that is the slow time for you, it's transitioning. So what are some of the things that we do to transition into the wintertime?
Ure. Well, before I talk about transition, I want to give another anecdote. Just wondering. Yeah.
We are over caffeinated today. Let's just put it that way.
Anyways, ignore what the producer just said in the background. We weren't talking about anything inappropriate at all. So.
Never, not us.
No, I just want to give it a different anecdote or different perspective. In the fitness world, I spent a lot of time in and out of gyms, working in the gyms. Also, I had a career in semi-professional type of training and so on and so forth. And there's a common saying that trainers give, which is that one day out, or like if you miss a day in the gym, it's like stealing 3 of the days that you went. Right. So for every day that you miss whatever your segment is, whatever your exercise or nutrition regimen or whatever that it is, it's like you essentially forfeited all of the work that you did for 3 days in the past. So your body's continually atrophying, right? Your body's continually breaking down. If you're not continuing to put load on your muscles, they begin to break down. If you're not continuing to put good quality nutrients inside your body, your actual internal organs are starting to break down, or they're being made of, because your body kind of regenerates. Everything regenerates at a different rate, right? Your skin regenerates faster than your heart tissues, so on and so forth. But your body is continually creating new. So the things that you're putting in it right now are what your body's made out of later, okay. Right? So the calorie or the caloric intake and the organic pieces of things are what your cells are made out of into the future. So long story short, if you decide, let me just give up on this year and I'm going to eat pizza until Thanksgiving, and then I'm going to stuff myself with nothing but turkey and gravy and whatever else at Thanksgiving.
Pizza.
And then when you get closer to pizza, more pizza, and you get closer to Christmas, you start having all the cookies and all the different baked goods and so on and so forth. Your body is literally being regenerated as gravy and cookies and so on and so forth, right? You can feel it in the way that you move your body. You're sluggish, you're soggy, you're whatever term you want to put onto it. It's just not the same, right? You're not producing the energy that you want to. You're not feeling the way that you want to. And it all has to do with the decisions that you're making right now, right? And I did mention that in a different podcast episode a while back about generally, I think it's something to the tune of 95%. I can't remember what the actual statistics are, but about 95% of New Year's resolutions are actually abandoned because people have this, there's an aura around the time period of the year where it's like, it's time to make a change. This is going to be my year. This one's mine. Last year sucked. I didn't just fight through it. I'm just gave up. But this year, I'm not giving up, right? And they're like, I'm gonna eat nothing but paleo diet, or I'm gonna do freaking whatever intermittent fasting, or I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, right? But in addition to that, I'm going to read a book every 2 weeks. And in addition to that, I'm going to go to church once a week. In addition to that, I'm going to, stop eating sugar altogether. In addition to that, and then they start piling all these things on. That becomes pretty daunting.
Yep.
Right? So the second that you screw up, you feel like you've screwed up on all 10 accounts, which is why they give up on all of them instead of giving up on the one that was the hardest for them to achieve, right? So 95% failure rate is a pretty big deal, right? Right. So,
number.
And in a business perspective, so to talk about what we do to transition in the time of the year and stuff like that, in a business perspective, as an owner, I never want our team members to just be like, okay, this year's done, right? Yeah. Well, because they're still getting paid. The year's not done for me. My obligation is the same. I still owe you your paycheck.
Yeah.
Right? So therefore, you still owe me the KPIs. You owe me whatever the production was. You owe me whatever the reports are. You owe me whatever the data is, so on and so forth, right? So I'll never let our team just stop working and keep collecting a paycheck. If I did, I'm an idiot and I shouldn't be in business in the first place, right? But there are better ways to promote that than to basically say, do what I said or you're fucking fired, right?
Of course.
But during this time of year, yeah, I mean, this is Colorado. We know how crazy Colorado is. It's bipolar. Right, a couple days ago we had snowflakes, and then the next day we had 86-degree temperature. Right, it was like 2 complete seasons in 2 days. Some days it's 4 seasons in 1 day. Right, you never really know what you're going to get. And understanding that you can't predict the future, so when it comes to building things, we have to be very conscientious. We have to forecast really well. We have to check all the different weather apps and radar things that are out there and make conscientious and educated decisions towards building, but we're going to continue to press forward and build. The more that we build, the more that we can recuperate in funds that can lead to the burn season, right? We'll have more profit to be able to utilize, where we may not be able to make as much traction contracting new work, but we will be able to make traction in making our salespeople better closers, making our team members more efficient in operational protocols, reestablishing new protocols, finding out what our hinge points are, so on and so forth. You can make yourself incredibly more lethal, I guess, as an organization by planning smart. So what we do during this time of the year, we like to actually finish this meeting just earlier today. We like to do a really deep dive into financials, right? Looking at the business through three perspectives: current sales volume, current revenue volume, and like a QuickBooks or a balance sheet perspective. Also looking at what your AR is, what's expected to be recuperated, and so on and so forth. So you can start to make smart decisions when it comes to money. What hatches do you need to button down? What pieces can you get rid of now or put into dormant mode because you don't actually need them now, but you'll need them later? So how do we reduce costs and so on and so forth? So we're starting to make those adjustments. We're not getting rid of them. We're just pulling away the ones that are not going to be as useful at this time of the year, and they will be later. Therefore, we keep the money so we have it later, so on and so forth, right? With our sales team, our guys, they generate business in a number of different ways, right? We do a lot of generating business for them by paying into marketing expenses, making videos like this to make our logo and our stuff more reputable, our experience more known to our communities, and so on and so forth, so that we're kind of omnipresent online, right? So that people know who they can buy from. It makes it easier for the doors to be open to our guys, right? We purchase through telemarketing, through pay-per-click campaigns, through Google advertising, you name it. There's 100 different ways that we're always trying to bring in new business for the guys. But what they have to do, because they have less daylight, right? You don't have the best reception at the front door if you're knocking on the door and it's snowing and it's 8 o'clock at night and pitch black, right? So they start to make more transitions to, let's start to work with accounts. They start to work in offices. They start to go doing more business to business style relationship building, where they're going to talk to insurance agents or real estate brokers or so on and so forth, so they can build more of an account, something that's more residual business. They start to foster those relationships more, and they start to do other types of networking things, right? And there's more attendance of our guys in Chamber of Commerce meetings or whatever networking events that are all over town. And honestly, business people are a good community. If you start to engage with the business community and you realize that these people are all trying to build their business, and in doing so, it's like I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. Let's perpetually do this for a long time. You start to build those relationships. This is a great time to do that. So you're just kind of reframing what direction you're going with your prospecting or looking for work, right? And then in terms of internal operations, our production team has to utilize the good weather days, right? So we have to max out our payroll on the good weather days. We have to spend as much time as we possibly can in the good weather days so that we're okay with the bad weather days, right? Close as many job cards as we can to free up as much accounts receivable opportunity as humanly possible. Go out and do any punch list or lingering items. As an organization, we're a fully diverse contractor for exterior needs outside of like stucco, concrete, landscaping, right? So there are a lot of logistics that have to go into being able to plan a project that happens to have 7 or 8 different trades involved with it, right? The thing that's the moneymaker is generally the roof or the siding. They have the most amount of volume or cash available to them because those products are more expensive. The assembly is more. You have to have more experienced personnel there, therefore the labor cost is more, and so on and so forth. But either way, you might have built a $50,000 roof, and this job is still open with no collectible opportunity in terms of accounts receivable because you haven't rescreened for windows or something like that, right? Imagine that. We ever been in that position where we have $50,000 due to us that's being held up by a screen that's worth 15 cents?
Yes.
We absolutely can. So I'm saying that, kind of remind ourselves of the dumb decisions that we've made in the past of leaving things open for too long and stuff like that. But this is a great time to clean up all of the stuff that we possibly can so that when we walk into next year, we're not pressing reset. We're not having to go backwards to find out what we missed. We're at a firm baseline. We're at exactly everything is closed, and now we can push forward on what we want to build for this year. Right. So during this time of the year, honestly, it shouldn't be give up.
No.
Right. It should be put the gas pedal down to the floor, redline it until we get to the point where it's time to actually take some time off for the holidays and so on and so forth. Right.
We do a lot of the big thing that happens with this time of year that we do is you see management start to take a different look at things. So our managers will have, frankly, really honest conversations of like, where did we fail this year? Because management needs to be able to admit that we failed because we're human. Managers are going to fail. Please remember that. And so we have to have those honest conversations. Did the team fail us or did we fail the team? Or was it a combination of the two? And how do we rectify those moving forward? So, we start really looking at those things as, the year winds down and those things. But it's easier to implement some of those changes while we still have work to be done. We still have things that we need to accomplish before the end of the year, but this is where we right the ship to a certain degree of like, you need to do this multiple times throughout the year, but this just happens to be one of the times a year where we do that.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Is don't let your company analysis or your personal analysis, self-reflection, that stuff turn into like a what's the right terminology? Like a theory, right? Let's not create theories that we're going to put into action later on down the road, because theory without application, without practice, without repetition towards changes in those small little bites, as you're talking about, means that the theory, it's important now because we've seen the data right now, right? But when you get to that point in the year, 70 days from now, we're going to have a whole slew of new problems that we have to deal with, which are going to shadow over top of the theory. Therefore, the theory stays a theory because there's no application to it, right? So begin internal investigation, begin team investigation, and have those hard conversations. You really should. I mean, it's cliche when people say it's just business, right? And people have said that in a malicious way in a lot of different settings and stuff like that. But it really is. It's just business. If you have failed at any point when you're investigating what happened this year, we should hold ourselves accountable to that. We should find the origin of that problem, whatever it is, whether it's a person, whether it's a process, whether it's maybe there's not the right machine for the process to run inside of or something like that. We need to find that out, and then we need to make baby steps immediately towards changing those things. Because if you get 70 days worth of practice before it actually becomes something that is important to actually put the pedal back down on, then you're experienced, right? And it's never left you in terms of its importance.
Correct. And then this time of year, it's everyone's always heard the practice makes perfect. Mm-hmm. But that's not what I was ever taught. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Bingo.
So that is, this is the time of year to do that. The other thing to do in this time of year of like, if you have days where weather's destroyed and you can't, in our industry, we're incredibly hampered by weather. So we utilize that time to what we call sharpen the axe. We have the guys come in, and vendors that we work with and the major brands we work with are willing to come in and teach us what they know. So they're willing to show off some of their internal teaching to make us better, because that's good for them too. And almost every industry has this of reach out to the reps for the brands that you represent or sell and have them come in and teach your team. Because product knowledge, in my experience, has been the number one way to gain more sales. If we talk about sales, which is a huge part of our industry, if you know what you're talking about, it leads more credence to what you're doing. So we use this time to make sure our guys know what they're talking about. And sometimes it's just a refresher, because everyone can use those. There's a reason continuing education credits are part of almost every major career field, because you got to constantly be getting better.
Sorry, I just realized the camera angle. It probably looks like we're holding hands here.
Aww. Like rejected.
Not that much.
Wow.
You want to hold hands?
No, I don't. I'm really okay not doing that. But we use this time to do those type of things because we can carve it out right now, and because there's going to be days that we're affected by weather. Mm-hmm. Not that that's an excuse, because we try not to let it be, but there's just times when it's like, hey, we have people who are willing to help make us better. Mm-hmm. Take advantage. Take the time to make yourself better. I tell the guys, and I tell myself, write down the things that you're failing at. I don't know enough about this. And then when you have that time, and it can happen throughout the year, You just take the time to learn that thing, to become better about that thing.
Yeah. So I think, do you have any other notes towards all of this?
I don't. I really. My big part is just maximize on the next 70 days.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. Let's summarize. Right. It is asinine to push pause on your life.
Mhm.
It is asinine to think that it's a good idea to just pretend that time doesn't matter. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. It's fleeting, right? You never get this second. The time we've spent putting this video together, we never get it back, right? So if we want to maximize our time, it would be really dumb for us to just press pause, act like a Neanderthal for 70 days, and then come back and expect to be hitting the ground running, right? So take it for what it is. Obviously, we're not the experts of the world, but I am a subject matter expert in what I do right here, and what I can tell you right here is that if we were to press pause on what we're doing, next year we won't be in business. It's just not how it works. Cash flow is king, right? It's not that we're doing it just for the money, right? There's a lot of reasons that we want to affect our communities and stuff, but I'm a realist at the same time. Everybody needs to get paid. We're never going to continue to get paid if we don't keep sharpening our axe when we can, if we don't keep self-analyzing and finding our hitch points and implementing new processes and procedures, if we stop prospecting, if we stop looking for new business, if we just press pause on our pipeline, the pipeline goes cold. Ask any salesperson that's worth their weight in any industry. If you stop following up, you will not win.
Nope.
Point blank, period. Right.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Yeah, exactly. So that would be my I guess call to action when it comes to anybody who's kind of in a similar position to either of us, an executive, a leader, an owner, or whatever that's watching these videos. Realize that this time is incredibly valuable. You're not going to get these 70 days back. Find out what it is that you can maximize right now and absolutely maximize it. Make it your mission to maximize those things. And make sure you're prepared for next year by taking bites out of the things that you find as you're analyzing. If you start on them now, this is actually, so we had a guy in here 3 years ago now, I believe. 3 years ago now, he was a business consultant, and he came in, and I needed a sounding board. I needed to kind of revamp some things in terms of organizational structure. I needed some real experienced help, and that was one of the biggest keys that he gave to us. And it kind of falls into the statistical category of like the amount of businesses that actually get off the ground. Generally, people have great ideas and they want to start a business, right? A lot of people take it to the grave, and it's because they get stuck in research and development before they actually start putting pen to paper, right? They want to master everything. They want their model to be perfect, whatever it is, before they press play. And you were talking about this a couple of weeks ago about how you want to be 10 years into the future, which is why you don't start now, right? But that's just not the case, and that's not the way it's ever going to be. And it's like a real entrepreneur, if you have the vision, it doesn't matter if you know every milestone to get there. What matters is that you have the gumption to start moving your feet forward. Right. And that's the same for any person, maybe not in those positions. If you're working in an organization and you're in that mindset, it's time to, kick back because it's almost the end of the year. I can figure this out next year. Good luck still being employed there. Mm-hmm. Right. Good luck being promoted there. Definitely not going to happen. You might still be employed if they're not paying attention well enough, but I don't think that you're going to be employed there for very long if you're not understanding that the organization has to press forward. Right? Growth is a necessity. If you're not adjusting to the environment, you are moving against the grain, and you are going to lose steam, and you're going to die. Right? It's just the way that it is. Maybe not really, but metaphorically, in your employment endeavor, that's what's going to happen. Right?
Well, beyond like the work culture and the hustle culture and things like that, when you push pause or you let off and you slow way down, you're doing yourself a disservice. I know that in the times where I have done that personally, of like, I got this in the bag, I can do this job without even thinking about it. I don't need to do these things anymore. Like, I don't have to work as hard because I can get it done in a little bit of time. So I let the work fill the day because I don't want to take more on. I don't want to look like I'm not doing anything. So the work fills the day. But then when you speed up and suddenly that work needs to not fill the day, because you've been allowing yourself to do that, dissatisfaction reigns. You'll see a lot of people start to leave jobs because like you've been taking it easy, and then you're mad at everybody because now you have to work really hard, or you're mad at yourself And I know that, I mean, I'm coming up on my 5 years specifically with this company. And if I would have said that anywhere else, I would have told you you're crazy, because I get to a point where I know the job, I'm really good at it, and then I get bored and I hate it and I leave. So that's one of those things of, because I'm constantly learning something new and pushing forward, that hasn't happened here.
So something you said about getting restarted and filling the day. You ever driven an old tractor before?
Hmm?
You ever tried to start up a cold tractor?
Yes.
How hard is it?
It's a pain in the ass.
How much work does it take to start up an old tractor?
I mean, start up any cold diesel.
Yeah.
It's a ton of work.
It takes real elbow grease. It takes real energy. You might have to, create fake heat to be able to heat up the engine, so on and so forth, right? But how easy is it to turn off a tractor that's been running for 2 hours and turn it right back on?
Easy.
Easy peasy, right? That's what vacations are for, right? That's you shutting off the tractor, going to eat your lunch, and come back out while it's still hot, right? You absolutely can do that. You can reanalyze, or self-reflect, or just completely pull yourself out for a little while and think about your family, or think about whatever it is that you're doing on the beach, drinking Mai Tais or whatever it is that people do on their vacations, right? When you come back, the tractor is still hot.
Yep.
The engine is still hot. You can just turn it right back on and go straight back to plowing or whatever the hell it is that you're doing. Starting the cold engine is the worst.
It's so much work.
Especially when it's incredibly cold outside and you hate your life while you do it.
Because you're in the cold at that point. It's not just that, like, I'm sitting in the warm cab now that I have it running.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out in the cold. My hands hurt. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work. You're in the cold, and it makes it that much worse.
It really depends on how much you need to turn that tractor on as to whether you're going to get it on or not.
Yep.
Right. So maybe let's not put ourselves in those positions. Let's keep your engines hot. Let's just kick some ass. You got 70 days to prove who you are. Here we are, challenging you to be the best. Right. So that's it for today's episode of Into the Lion's Den. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any comments, thoughts, or if you would like to attend one of these, warehouse meets or one in the actual traditional podcast studio, just shoot us with a direct message. We'd love to have some guests on. Mm-hmm. And as always, get out there, kick ass, fight the good fight, and become the best that you can every single day. We appreciate you tuning in. Catch you on the flip side.
Have a great one, guys. Great cut. So you're going to see this on all of our job sites. This one's GeoCell, lots of different brands. This is the caulking sealant that we use. Use this on any of the exposed nail heads on ridge to keep those from leaking around them. So it's a silicone exterior sealant, and we use this on multiple tubes on every job.